What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Live with Brandon Blakeney podcast. I am your host, Brandon Blakeney, aka Brandon Lee TV. You know I got another banger for you, so kick back, relax, and come take a ride with me.
You are now locked into the Live with Brandon Blakeney podcast. Here is your host, Brandon Blakeney.
So the second half of the WNBA season is beginning to ramp up, and teams like the Dallas Wings and the Washington Mystics and the Atlanta Dream and so on are looking to potentially make a playoff push with healthy rosters than they started the season with. But right now, a lot of these teams that I just mentioned are at the bottom of the barrel and looking like they could be in contention for that first number one pick. Now, I don't know that the class coming in this year has the star power, I should say. But there is in this year's class, but there is a lot of quality pieces, and I want to talk about the top 10/11. We got a surprise for y'all. Potential picks in this upcoming year's or next year, I should say, 2025's WNBA draft. Top 10, 11 players that could impact teams. Let's talk about best fits as well as how their games translate to the WNBA. First off, I gotta start off with Paige Bueckers, man. Reigning Big East Player of the Year, former National Player of the Year, the most efficient player in women's college hoops. No wasted movement, 3-level scoring threat, elite playmaker, just really no holes in her game. The only knock on Paige is the health. She had 2 season-ending injuries in back-to-back years. I think, though, once we saw UConn lose about half of their roster, we realized that, this is not a Paige Bueckers issue. This is a athletic training and medical staff issue with UConn, and they made some changes. Now, this is a big year for her. I think last year she got back in her bag. She took a very hurt and beat up UConn team to heights that people didn't expect them to be at in the Final Four. She was a mean 3-headed monster with Nika Mule as well as Aaliyah Edwards. I would love to see her go to the Washington Mystics. I know some people are wanting to see her go to LA. Some people are wanting to see her get a franchise built around her in San Fran with the Valkyries. And I think all those are great options. But you put Paige Bueckers on the Mystics, you get Elena Delle Donne back, you get Sykes back, you get Shakira Austin back, you get an experienced, a year older Aaliyah Edwards. And I'm telling you guys, this is absolutely a playoff team. They are a point guard away. I feel like the Chicago Sky are in the same boat. And maybe they traded Marina Mabrey to get themselves in the Paige sweepstakes. I don't know. There are a couple teams that could really use her services at the point guard position. I think she will have a really smooth transition into the WNBA with her pace, with her being a true point guard, playing the 4 this year for UConn, playing way out of position and held tough for that group, did whatever they needed her to do. But I think her passing ability, her just shot selection, her efficiency, and her adjustment to the game, the speed and the physicality will be a lot smoother than probably any other rookie in the draft class this season. But, it'll be interesting to see if she can stay healthy for another year and put together another very impressive year. UConn should be in the running for a national title. They brought back a mob, and I'm expecting Paige Bueckers to be in that Player of the Year running. Also in that Player of the Year running was a late bloomer who took a huge jump in her junior year at Stanford. Kiki Iriafen stole the number 1 spot, man, from Cameron Brink as the go-to scorer and just dominant rebounder on that Stanford team. We're just seeing her scratch the surface, man. We are just seeing her scratch the surface. She's offensively polished. She's skilled. She can play both ends. She's mobile. She can spread the floor, shoot the basketball, and she has proven to be a force on the glass. She is in contention for that number 1 pick. Depending on which mock draft you look at, Iriafen might be that number 1 pick, and very well she could be. I made a video previous talking about Paige and Kiki, just how they're interchangeable, the pros and cons of drafting either one. But depending on who gets the pick and their need and the fit, that could ultimately be the main deciding factor for this group. At number 3, man, gotta talk about Anissa Morrow. When you talk about versatility, a big wing that can play down low as well, inside-out game, she can really shoot the three. She's gotten so much more comfortable this past year on the perimeter, handling the basketball. She's tough on the glass. At her size, being the elite rebounder she is going to do her a lot of favors in the WNBA. And there are a lot of teams that could use a big wing. The Fever could use her on the wing, man. Just another big body who can guard multiple spots, create her own shots, and play make. The Mystics could use her. The Wings could definitely use her. Another perimeter threat would be great for them as well, man. But her versatility, I think, is going to be the selling point with her. I'm expecting her and Flage to have major seasons with UCLA this year. So I'm expecting her to take even more strides. I got her at third right now, but if she were to climb up into that top two, I would not be shocked, y'all. At 4, I got a familiar face for y'all. AZ Fudd, who is coming off a season-ending injury, but we've seen when she is healthy and in her bag, she is one of the most lethal scorers in the entire country, in this entire class, and I think this is going to be a make-or-break year for her. She comes in, McDonald's All-American, former #1 player in her class, battled some injuries just like a lot of those UConn players, but when she's on a silent assassin, big shot maker, and lethal really from anywhere on the floor. Her instant offense could be very beneficial for a team lacking a powerful punch in the backcourt, man. Her shooting could help a lot of teams spacing the floor. A team like the Chicago Sky, who needs perimeter threats that can knock down shots after trading Mabry. She would be good with the Fever. She would be good with the Mystics as well as an off-ball guard. She's shown the ability to create as well. And I know a lot is going to be decided with this year. But if her and Bueckers have the season I think they will, they could be the best backcourt in the entire country. At number 5, I got another star player that is coming off of injury, Olivia Miles, an All-American talent with Notre Dame. Pairing her with Hannah Hidalgo is going to be showtime this year. But you talk about a veteran guard who's played in the NCAA tournament, who's a leader, who's poised, who's not afraid to take the big shot or make the winning play. Very, very just capable playmaker, passer. She can play the 1. If you want to mix and match, player off ball, she can score the basketball from anywhere as well. One of the best slashers in this class, really finesse finisher. And I think she could be the difference, the X factor of Notre Dame, being a dark horse in that college national championship game. I really think she comes back. It may take her some time. She looked healthy enough to play at the end of the season last year when they were making that tournament run. I'm going to be honest, but I understand Coach Ivy didn't want to rush her back, and respect for that. But she looks healthy. She'll have a whole summer to practice with this team. She's building chemistry with the new players. They're getting a post in Kate Koval, who will be good in the pick and roll for these two guards. So I'm expecting a major season for Olivia Miles, which could see Notre Dame raising that trophy. At number 6, Layla Filia, the shooting guard, the wing, who was highly touted as a lockdown defender, ended up leading Michigan in scoring this past year. Now she joins a loaded roster with Texas, with Rory Harmon, who's also on this list as well a little bit later. Tore her ACL, but could have been, she was in that running for National Player of the Year. And then you get Layla, who is just incredible on both sides of the basketball. A true 3 and D wing, can score from anywhere. Knockdown shooter who's continued to progress and improve her three-point shooting and her offense as a whole. She had her calling card as a lockdown defender. She has great size, and I think she's really going to benefit from playing on the big stage this year. The SEC is going to be tough. It is no joke. But I think she will be ready. Madison Booker and her should be an elite 1-2 punch on that perimeter. Her shooting, her size, her capability to create her own shot could be very beneficial. I mean, pro leagues are always looking for that next 3 and D star. And Layla definitely has that capability of being able to impact the game on both sides and take your star player completely out of the game and then go on the other side and make big shots as well. I'm super excited. One of the best transfers in the entire nation. She is going to be a huge addition for the Texas Longhorns. Next up, we got Georgia Amoore, who had a historical career at Virginia Tech. Then she decided to follow her coach, Kenny Brooks, to Kentucky to revive that program. I'm excited to see her go against these tough guards in the SEC. The SEC is going to be loaded. But you talk about a true point guard with elite shooting stroke and range, can get it off the mid-range, is a great split-second decision maker in the pick and roll. A league dominated by pick and roll. Amoore can come in and run the show. I've mentioned her a lot with the Fever, with the Chicago Sky as well. If they're looking for point guard help a little later with one of those first-round picks that they got, Amoore, I think, will be WNBA ready, man. I know some people are kind of worried about her athleticism and her ability to guard elite offensive threats, and that may be a challenge. But from a perspective of running the show, trusting her with the basketball, giving her the keys, and expecting her to help you win games and not turn the basketball over, she should be elite. You may have to hide her a little bit on defense. She's not a slouch, but she's also not super quick, so she could be getting exposed by the elite guards in the league. But, more twitch, better defense, understanding the pace of the game comes with time. But I think she is one of the purest point guards in this entire class, and she could be the best point guard in the nation coming up this year. Kentucky brought in a really good transfer class. They've got some talent coming in, and Amoore may be the key to Kentucky making a return to the NCAA tournament, but I think her game fits really well in the WNBA. I have a star by Ashlyn Watkins' name, man, out of South Carolina, the most athletic player in women's college hoops, be dunking that thing off 2 feet, off 1 feet like it's nothing. Elite shot blocker, elite defender, mobility, rebounder, impacts the game in a bevy of ways. Now, she will be old enough to jump in the draft if she decides to. And if they go undefeated again and win back-to-back natties, I could definitely see her making that move. We saw her offensive game come along. We're seeing the elbow jumper fall. We saw her fill in as the main post presence when Camila Cardosa was out on international duties. Ashlyn Watkins progressed a lot, and I think the sky's the limit. She has just as much potential as any player in this class if she decides to come out. And just the athletic ability, the poise, the impact on both ends. She's got that dog in her, a tenacious defender. And I think she's just scratching the surface on her game, man. We've seen how Camila Cardoso, we've seen how Leah Edwards, we've seen how Asia Wilson and some of these other South Carolina bigs have just contributed immediately. Dawn Staley obviously has the recipe for success for these players to succeed in the WNBA. Ashlyn Watkins just oozes upside, the ability to guard multiple positions, bother shots, get up and down the floor like no other, and beat other bigs down the floor. She is a walking highlight, and I think she could be a top draft pick in this upcoming year's draft. We're not done with South Carolina. Another guard that I think is kind of being slept on, maybe the most impactful transfer of all of last year, Te-Hina Paopao, came over for Oregon and instantly turned the three-point shooting from South Carolina into a strength with the improvement of Raven Johnson, with Breezy Hall taking on more minutes as well. The three-point shooting turned into an actual strength in one season, what was the biggest weakness for South Carolina. But you talk about a guard that can play the one or the two, solid size, really good defender, great playmaker in the pick and roll, maybe the best three-point shooter in this entire class, maybe in the entire country. She's the ultimate competitor, leader, ice water in her veins. She came up with so many big plays for South Carolina last year, and I was absolutely shocked. I was floored, y'all, that she decided to bring her talents back to South Carolina. I could not believe it. But she came back for another year and instantly makes them a national championship favorite. But her shooting, her playmaking ability, being able to just play either guard spot, be versatile, play with a point guard, play with 2 point guards, play with a shooting guard. Like, you can plug her in anywhere. Maybe she's not ready to start immediately, but you could bring her off the bench for instant offense and a reliable guard to run that second unit. She's a winner, and she is far from a defensive liability, more like a lockdown defender. Now, rounding out the group, man, we got 2 players. First off, Sonia Citrone, one of the biggest pieces of that three-headed monster last year with Maddie Westbeld and Hannah Hidalgo for Notre Dame. She was huge, sharp shooter, playmaker, but elite, like, streaky shooter. Can get hot in a minute, had some huge scoring outputs, great feel for the game, has played in a lot of big games, and she's instant offense. She can create off the dribble. She can get other players involved. This point guard class is pretty deep, I will say. Point guard is probably the deepest position in this draft, and there are a lot of teams that could use a point guard with Citron's skill set of being able to score the basketball, but also create for others. Great size at the guard position. Can play with other guards. We've seen her play with Hannah Hidalgo. She can play off ball. So, she can be a complementary piece to a guard that is a 1 or a 2. She's a combo guard. And I think she might be one of the truest combo guards other than Te-Hina Paopao in this class. So I think she could be good. And then I had Raven Johnson next to her with an asterisk. She, had the red shirt year. So if she wanted to after this year, could go to the WNBA draft. I've mentioned how I feel like her play style, her passing ability, she has that triple-double potential. Elite lockdown defender, maybe the best perimeter defender in this entire class if she decides to come out. If they go and win another natty, same with Tina Paopao, she's going to be out of eligibility, but same with Ashlyn Watkins. If they do decide, they go and run the table and win back-to-back titles, she might not feel like she has much to prove, man. And it may be time for Malaysia Fulwiley and Tessa Johnson and Maddie McDaniel to get the keys to the offense if Johnson decides to go. She was the glue player, versatile, stat sheet stuffer for this group. Her scoring took a back seat, but that does not mean she can't. We saw her shoot an all-time high from three-point range this year. She's got the mid-range. She can hit tough off-balance shots, man. And I think that's what's really dope about Raven Johnson. She's a gamer. She makes big-time plays, and she's flat out a winner. And she's had this mentality since she stepped on campus at South Carolina. So I think she could be an immediate contributor for a team that has scoring but needs someone to facilitate. Raven Johnson could absolutely fill that void immediately. But y'all let me know in the comments, man, some great players being mentioned. Y'all let me know how y'all feel as far as anybody we might have missed, anybody that y'all think should be higher on the list. Y'all let me know and tell me about the best fits for these players as well. Holler at your boy. That's a wrap for us. For all the latest and the greatest, I am Brandon Blakeney, a.k.a. Brandon Lee TV. Till next time, we out.